Welcome to my podcast, thank you for your time. Hyped up the dunks, but be conscious of your mind. Everything is mental, doubt you gotta let go. Catch me dunking Thursday, I'll be hanging by my elbow. Yeah, hey, still spinning. Damn, 44. That was a good intro. I gotta do more of that. I'm trying to bring the raps back for the intros. Elbow, it's gonna be the right elbow though, but I can definitely do it, and I got a lot to talk about today, but first and foremost, we're still spinning. This is your conscious reminder to be conscious of what's going on, and that if you're aware at all times, you could be directed much easier. And that is the goal of this podcast and what I'm sharing, and also what I'm trying to do myself. So by demonstrating, I hope it helps, because a lot of things have become better, and I want to keep you updated with how I'm doing and also what I'm going to do. And you guys are following along, and I think you get it. And just hopefully this comes across as like just a reminder that there's people out there that are always like this. So if you're conscious and you're like, oh shoot, still spinning the podcast, I got to remember to think of the world still spinning, and I could do a lot more than I'm doing, than rather than just focusing on my clothing or something. I always go back to clothing. I don't know why, but the point is, there are people that like me that are always out there ready for your weirdness, and you should chase your strange dreams. If you're like, I want to ride go-karts underwater or make an underwater go-kart league, I'll be like, you can do it. And you'll be like, oh, I want to talk to plants more because I feel that they're talking to me and we're just missing it. And I'm like, definitely. But you can do it. And or you want to be the best dart or the first dart thrower on the moon to throw darts. I'll be like, why? But you can definitely do it. So yeah, hopefully that's how this podcast reaches you, is that you can go for anything you want. And I actually believe it too. Is like that's the crazy part of me doing this, is that like whatever you kind of believe, whatever you can get yourself to believe, which is the main topic. So I have the whole two things today. Mainly is the life journey update, where I'm at, what I've learned, what I'm trying to do next, and then the dunk update of like, which is basically my two goals. So my first goal, if you're not familiar, is to dunk Tomahawk dunk off the dribble, two hands off on 10 feet in 2 months, which is now less than 2 months. It's probably about 7 weeks. So I think the date I put was like September 16th was around the date, and it is the 24th, I think, and of July. And the other one is $10,000 a month off YouTube by December. So that's rough. So just to get you shocked, I wrote checks out to my family for money I want to give them for this Christmas, and because it's putting that energy out there, and that's all what this is about. And what I learned that from, I didn't learn it, it's not like a technique that works or anything, but Jim Carrey did that, and he wrote himself a check for $5 million, and he used to envision, and he's huge into manifestation, and there's all these techniques out there, and I'm just trying to do everything I possibly can to get myself to believe it. And part of believing you can achieve something, and I'm going to do a quick branch off real quick. The key right now of all these things I'm trying to do is to not that you believe in yourself, but more than that, it's like believe you've already achieved it. And I think that is the true key, because once you can already you believe that you've already done it, like you can truly believe you've done it, and you're just like waiting to get there. Like for example, the dunk I did on Sunday, which is my first two-hand dribble dunk on 9/11. When you do it, when I completed that dunk, it almost felt like a finally feeling. Obviously, I've been trying for a long time, and this is very hard to articulate, which is another branch off. I have a whole like chart in front of me. I'm looking at that. These are all branches of the life journey update. So I'm gonna get to everything, but it's gonna be all over the place, as per usual. So the finally feeling came to me because, not because I've been chasing it, but it felt like I almost already envisioned it so well, or I believed it so hard that it's almost like my reality caught up to my belief, which is kind of how it felt. And the reason I think that's the key is because if you really get to that level of thinking and you really 100% believe it, I feel like it puts you on another frequency. And that's just the key that I'm trying to achieve with everything I envision is to really try to believe I already achieved it. And that's the hardest part for me because I'm not like that. And that's how my mindset's changed during this dunk journey, because I've never been the type to be like put on dates on something, not because I didn't think I could, but it was almost like a jinx. And these are all branches of everything I wrote down. So this is kind of everything I wanted to talk about. So the thing about the jinx is that I think about that all the time is like, say something good happens and you're like, oh, I don't want to tell people yet, or I don't want to tell them my goals, which is why I'm telling you all my goals, because I've switched my mindset, which I think is very helpful. And the point of the jinx is like, if you say, I don't want to tell people that I'm doing this yet, or I don't want to say it too soon, because even though like you feel like you already got it, like for example, a job interview, if you have that coming up, and you did really well on the third one, and there's a fourth one coming up, and you like feel like it's in the bag, you don't want to like say it yet, you don't want to like put it out there, because it's kind of like jinxing it. And I totally get that, but at the same time I feel like you would be able to use the jinx as an excuse. So but if you put it out there, be like, I got it, then you have to, it's almost like training yourself to believe in it more. And I feel like if you're able to, by jinxing it and saying there's a chance it might not happen because of the jinx, then you're putting that doubt in there. So if you're able to not worry about the jinx and truly believe it, then you already got it. And I think that's why I don't want to make you guys ruin your goals or whatever, because you might actually believe in the jinx thing, because a lot of people do, and like they don't even really believe in it, but they just don't even talk about it. Like, don't say that. And by not thinking about it, you don't even have that doubt of the jinx, and you just I got it, I did everything right, everything feels good, you know? But if you can get over that thing, I feel like you can get to a higher level, and that's the point. And where was I that I wanted to talk about? I said the frequency, the fucking, damn it. I wrote the checks. Yeah, so I wrote the checks, and what he did was Jim Carrey said the exact same thing, and it was super interesting because I've heard those quotes before, but now when I go back and listen to them and I'm in a different state of mind and a different like place in my life, they make a lot more sense, and they resonate a lot more. So he said that the key is already achieved it. I tweeted it for those who follow me on Twitter. Nobody does, but you get the point. So he said that's the key, and it makes so much sense because of how the dunk felt when I did it. I'm trying to get my train of thought back. But when I did the dunk, it was like a finally feeling, and it wasn't that I was just chasing the dunk for a long time. It almost felt like I've done it before, or like I knew I could do it the whole time. I just had to like unlock it. And that's how my very first dunk felt. And that's why the feeling was very overwhelming, because when I got my first dunk, it was like there was no doubt in my mind I was going to dunk for my first dunk, because not the day I did it, but just like in general, because I was like, I'm never going to stop. And it was so strong in me to get a first dunk that it was like no chance I was going to get it. And now this one I feel like took me so long to get, because it's like one of them, even though it's not 10 feet, whatever. The point is, it's like the hardest one, the hardest rim. I've always wanted it so badly, but I could never like see myself doing it 100%. I always had a little bit of doubt. And, I think that's what held me back. And even though I had the abilities, looking back, going over all over the place now, is like Steve Jobs says, I've said this before, is that you can only connect the dots going back. And now me connecting my dots, to give an example to hopefully you guys see what I'm talking about, is that even though throughout my journey I've made success, and this was like a hard piece, and I've made other success, like I hit the between the legs during this time, I couldn't do this stupid dunk, or I've like got closer to an elbow or hit my head. I've made like jumping progress. The one dunk I had the most doubt about was the hardest one for me to do. And on top of it, I was always going into sessions knowing these things, but I never thought it really affected me that much. And this is what I'm talking about. The mindset is like when I would go into a session, a lot of times when I was just going for a light day or I wasn't expecting much, you know that those are the days that I could do better a lot of the time. And I felt more free, at least. And I always felt like in a better mood, or like I was doing better than I expected. And I think not because the mindset of like I didn't care how it went, but I think there was no negative. So like on other days when I was like trying too hard, I have that doubt because I'm like, I would go into a session like even this Thursday. My goal is, if you heard the intro, if you actually listened to that, I said I'm going to hit my elbow on 9-9, and I'm going to do it. Like I'm saying that now, and I'm visualizing it, and I'm going to do it because... And this is how it changes, because like a day like coming up this Thursday, I normally would say I should be able to get that dunk. I hit my head on a higher backboard. I got really close to the elbow like weeks or months ago. I'm lifting upper body. I feel great. It should be a great day. Last week on a Thursday was great, and I should be able to get that elbow. And then I go to that dunk session. I'm jumping well. I'm like, I should be able to get this. I should. And that should has like a smidgen of doubt. But I can do it. And I need to believe that. And I know you guys might have progress and you don't have these problems, but this has been my struggle. And it's only been a struggle at this level because I feel like it's the level that I can't see myself at. So before this level of like trying to elbow or trying to like do Eastbays on 10 feet or like dribble dunk as good, like next level, not just getting it down, is like I can never like see that myself doing that. But that's the dream level I always wanted to get to. So it's really hard for me to get to that level of belief. And I really think it's just the belief that's the key, because even if it's like, so now I'm back to what is it? Is it the belief that's unlocking like your physical abilities to just like your motor skills are working better, your like muscles are firing correctly? Is that why the belief works? Or is it like the universe giving you the abilities? Now, I think it's both, but I want to believe it's the universal energy, and especially in like other parts of my life besides dunking, obviously it's less physical. I think it's universal stuff, and that could be work too. Like you just have the right idea because you were focused on it, and the right idea comes to you. But the other thing about the universal energy part of the physical side is that this might be clarity too, but I'm still trying to figure out that balance, is that last week when I achieved that dunk, I felt the need to do a different type of dunk session than I've done in a while. And I know that could just be focus, but I had like that impulse and to go harder on the day before the Sunday where I landed it on Saturday. I had the impulse to go harder, which I said in the last podcast. But it's interesting because I almost like stopped thinking about the next goal, which was to get that two-hand dunk on 9/11, because I was just like, let me just go hard and in the long term it'll go. But then the next day it was almost like it set me up. I just didn't even know. I feel like I didn't even know fully why I was doing it. I just felt like I needed to get that feel in my mind to do it. It was just like it just came like a thought that I felt like I couldn't get from myself, because I've put the work in to think about it so much and tried to be as clear as possible, and I thought what I was doing was the best. But then when I truly envisioned myself landing it, new thoughts came, and you don't know. That's the whole thing. Is like we don't know why those new thoughts came, but new thoughts came is the key, and believing I already achieved it is the key. But I want to believe it's like a universal energy, and that leads me to another point, is that we don't know everything about the brain, but we do know like where our bodies are energy, our brains emit energy, like all this energy's out there, and we don't know what we can pick up or what we can give off. So if you truly believe it, you reach that level, I feel like it like levels up your vibrations, because that's what they say, like sometimes thinking is on a frequency or vibration. If you're able to get to that 100% belief or faith that you achieved it, or you already achieved it, and you could actually accept that you do it, because that's so hard for me, being realistic. And I feel like most people, if you ask them any goal that they want, even though they really believe that they can do it, it's there's still a slight doubt that they just might not be able to. At least that's me. Like even if like you say today's going to be your best jumping day, and I'm jumping my best, like I'm like there's still a slight doubt I just might miss, or things like that, and that could happen. But I feel like that realism, or like that little fact that I have a tiny piece of doubt, that's holding me back. Like if I just, and I think that another thing connecting the dots going forward is a lot of times when people hit a new dunk, it like opens the floodgates. Like they say, if you hit like a windmill, you hit like a bunch of windmills if you were back rimming them. And it's like, I think that's more of like you had a breakthrough, that you were able to push through that mental belief barrier, or maybe you just had the feeling and you just did it. But then after that, you've done it once, it's possible. And then it's not a factor of you have no mental blocking at all. And I've had a lot of mental blocks, and before I used to think it was just like realistic and like I was going with it, and I knew it was mental blocking, but I didn't know to this extent. And I think just focusing on it, and that's the other thing I want to talk about too, is like meditating and things like that. I think focusing on it and having clarity and the meditating all led to me being able to get to this new way of thinking and unlock the potential. And the way meditating, I learned from just listening to all these different people talk about it, is that it's like a muscle. And what you do, the way I do it, is basically just lay down and just focus on my breath. And then your thoughts go wild, and you start thinking, I think about my breath. I just think about like my nose, the air coming in and out. And all of a sudden I think like, oh, I want to do this. This is a good idea for a podcast. Oh, I want to bring this thought up on the podcast, things like that. But then you just refocus on your breath. So you're just constantly trying to bring your concentration back to your breath. And that is a skill in itself. And it helps you constantly be more aware at all times. So that way, when you're going through other parts of your life, not meditating, you could try to refocus on what you're doing or what's going on. So that way, like, if I had a bad day dunking, I don't just have a bad day and get angry and then cycle into bad thoughts. I can be aware, like, oh, I'm angry right now, and concentrate on, oh, what happened, like, and then stay in the moment. And that's what it's about, is being in the present moment. I'm going to go back to Jim Carrey real quick. So that was what I wanted to say about meditating, and it was really fascinating to me because I feel like it's that connection that I always talk about of like bridging the gap that I like to do, because it gives like a connection of why it works instead of just saying like, here's what to do and here's the results. It shows you like kind of the middle ground of how it connects to what it improves in your life. So when Jim Carrey wrote that check to himself, I did it for myself, and I also explaining it here because, like I said, I feel like when you like say your goals or say what you did to achieve them or say what you're thinking, it loses its magic. And I want that to also, there's another side of that too, where it's just strengthening my desire, which I'll get into, but I've got to finish the Jim Carrey thing. I don't even know what else I want to say about him, but he did that, and he's huge into manifestation, and it was just really fascinating that he did that. And the reason I did that and took his little technique, because I feel like, well, first of all, when I did it and I wrote checks to like my family and different family members, it like filled me with like a lot of emotion and like excitement, like to think if I actually do it. And then that I feel like just the act of doing it and like writing them out and like just putting them away, it's just like you have that excitement, which is emotion, which I've learned is a great way to influence your subconscious to try to get your subconscious to believe as well, because that's what the game is. It's like you're trying to get yourself to believe. For me, it's like you're trying to get yourself to believe, because I feel like you're a freaking sociopath if you just believe you're going to achieve all these things. But those are the people that sometimes do it, is that they don't even overthink it. They're just like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the best. I'm going to achieve this. And they do it. And I think that's a big part of it, is that they actually fully believe. And that's why a lot of these athletes and things are like, all I wanted to do was this for my whole life. I knew I was going to be this for my whole life, and they achieve it. And so anyway, when I wrote the checks, it was so exciting. So I think just that act itself, like when you ever have thoughts of doing something like that or putting yourself out there, like if you're starting a new workout or you want to make a change for yourself, that's what it goes back to, the two things of desire, strengthening your desire. It's like the pain and there's pleasure. Those are two ways I learned. I forget where I learned this. I think it was another podcast, of two ways to strengthen your desire, pain and pleasure. And they say that the pain is a little more effective, and I'll try to explain. So the pleasure is basically like, yes, that would be awesome, right? If I could write those checks, and that sense of enjoyment obviously like strengthens my desire, because it makes me want to do it more, because I feel what it would feel like to be able to give those checks to my family. But pain is like something negative that happens that kind of forces you to do it, and that's why they say it's a little more effective. So for example, if somebody like lost their job, but they had to pay their rent in 2 months or something like that, they would work their butt off to get $2,000, whatever the hell they needed, right? For all their expenses. But if they just kept their job and they needed that $2,000, they might not do all those other things that, you know what I'm saying? They just wanted an extra $2,000. It wouldn't be as strong as a force. Like if they kept their job, but they just wanted to save up $2,000, they wouldn't have that force. But when you have that pain and you're forced to do something, your desire for it goes to the max, and you have to do it. So that's leading back to why I'm telling you, because at the beginning I said there was a reason, like I feel like it's a jinx or an excuse that I don't want to like share my goals or everything I do. But I feel like that is almost like the pain side of it, where I'm putting it, and it's also like saying like, now I have to do it, because there's a little bit of fear, I guess, but fear is like the negative emotion. But I think it's more just like looking at it as it just strengthens I'm trying to use it in a positive way of like strengthening my desire so I don't fail. Because the fear is not a good one, but fear of failure is definitely like a motivator, right? But yeah, and I'm trying to use it to my advantage, because I'm doing it anyway, and I'm just trying to share it so it kind of is out there. And what was I about to say about the fear? I'm losing my train of thought. But that's what I was going to say. That's how this all started too, is that I had these goals, and part of me initially was just like, I don't want to do that because I'm not really too afraid of failure, which is the thing. It's more of like, I feel like it loses its power if you like tell people what you're doing. I don't know why that is, and I think that's part of my thing I'm working through, which is great for the podcast because I'm trying to explain everything I'm thinking and try to change how I think so you guys can see that you can change how you think. And there's like paradigms in your mind, which I think I definitely have in dunking, which is I don't like to say I'm going to do this now because and I don't know why I'm like that, but I think it's just realistic. And I think it's hard to just truly believe into something that you've always had doubts of, and it's just, like for jumping especially, it's like there's just good days, there's bad days, but I think if I had truly believed on more days, I would have had more success, and that's why I kind of plateaued. It's just making sense now why I kind of plateaued for so long. And in other areas, like an Eastbay is like, that wasn't even like something in the realm of possibility, and even like low rims, I was just like, it wasn't like something I was like, oh, I'll never get that. It was just like a trick. And same with the windmill, and same with like backboard. It's just like, that's like bonus, and that's why I feel like I was able to do all those dunks, because it's just like, it felt like it was like a cheating method because I'm throwing a lob, but the off dribble two hands was always like the most satisfying to me and the one I wanted the most, and made me feel like it's the hardest because it's like off the dribble and most legit, and that's like what the best of the best do. They're able to do it off the dribble, and especially like 2 feet. It was just the hardest for me, and I think that's why it blocked. And it's just very interesting looking back that that's kind of, it makes a lot more sense now that I'm understanding the belief is the factor, and then the whole journey of my dunk journey, I didn't really have that belief I can do that specific dunk. What did I write there? Okay, so then the other thing too is that about all of this, why I'm trying to share it, is that it's really hard to articulate the feeling. Like, for example, I was trying to explain the dunk I did and how it felt like a different feeling than like hitting a windmill off the lob, and it felt more like I said, my reality caught up to like my belief. Like I finally was able to put it in my head I can do it, and I actually did in my head, and then I just had to do it. That's a different feeling than like just landing a windmill where I didn't even really think if I can do it or not. It wasn't even like crossing my mind. It's a different feeling, and the point is it's hard to articulate into words, which is another reason why I hope you guys are following along, because if you try to do it yourself, you'll gain this feeling, and that feeling is so hard to describe. But if I just tell you what I'm doing and how it's working, I'm hoping that you guys have the same experience, because it's more about going through the experience. And I've had so many of my friends, like, I'm going to go back to the more mystical side, is that like this whole past week, because this week's starting over, like last week was amazing. I went from meeting new people to changing my whole workout to landing a whole new dunk, and it just felt like a whole different realm of possibility, and it felt like I was on the right path. And I know that sounds so cliche as possible, and everything was aligning too. And now looking back, this podcast has like a purpose now. It's almost like an update for me to just go in depth about everything and also give my thoughts. And this seems like the exact perfect reason to have this podcast. And just so many things aligned last week and felt like they were coming together, all from just trying to visualize my main goal and clarity and all these different things. So it's very hard. I can't explain those feelings. And like, for example, when I met the kid and he came up to me, it's just like, it just felt like it was like about time again. Like he came up to me, he said, like, I have it on video, I think it's at the end of my vlog. He was just like, I just want to find like-minded people. Who says that? And so like at the same time that I would like already believe that. So anyway, try to have these experiences for yourself. Find a goal that you'd like to do and just really try to visualize it. And here's my method that I'm trying to work on right now, which I think is what you're trying to do, but it's just a constant battle of trying to do it. Number one is trying to believe you've achieved it already. And not that like you did it right now, but like you can see it, you've already done it, and now you just have to live and get to it, right? And now other things I've learned, because I just listened to the audiobook of The Alchemist, which is about it's just a story about a boy following his destiny and going through learning all these life lessons on the journey. And what I learned through that is so many life lessons, but it was just really interesting that for example, like one was like he thought he was on his destiny, so he had like beginner's luck, like he met these people, but then later there was like more testing of like his faith in if he's gonna waver or still chase his dreams. Like there's all these tests, so I'm going to be aware of those moving forward, because like this week might have been beginner's luck where a lot of these things happened well, or it went well, and now but I still have to just keep increasing my strength of belief and that I can keep getting to the next level, because it feels like I'm snowballing a little bit. Like I landed that dunk. It's like, how am I going to land another monumental dunk or get that? It just feels like everyone gets harder to believe, but I think that's just like testing my belief. And then the other thing that was really interesting that I learned from other podcasts is that the way to really get in that energy the best, which I'm trying to do, is like you want to have those goals, but you have to try to detach yourself from their importance. So you can't just be like, oh, I want that so badly. I want that so badly, because I do. I want to achieve my goals. I want to dunk. But you have to, it's like a paradox. You have to believe in it that you already achieved it, but at the same time, you want to be clear of I don't want to say desire, but the attachment to it. And that's the only way I can put it. And it doesn't make sense, but it's like a feeling you have, so you can kind of stay in the moment. And that's the key, is like you have this vision of these goals and what you want to achieve, but you have to stay in the moment so you could recognize the signs and the energy and where to go next and what these things are. So that's what I'm trying to do. And it's so friggin' challenging. My camera cut out. But so that's the really challenging part, is trying to want something so bad, but live in the moment so you can stay conscious of what to do next. And the last thing is that the hardest part for me too is like, what do I do next? What do I do next? Waiting for the next thing to show up. But you have to just constantly keep thinking of your goal and let the plans come out. So like, for example, if you have to, like you need to move somewhere, or you want to go somewhere but you don't have the money, don't let the money hold you back. Make the plan first and then visualize the plan, and then the money comes back. Let me give you a better example. It's like if you want to get a new job but you need to get a car for that job, like right now your job, you don't need a car because they give you transportation or something like that, but you want another job but you need a car. It's like, I want that job, and you see the job, it's like, but I don't have a car. It's like, don't worry about that yet. Just worry about what job you want and getting that job. And then when you get that job, then you'll figure it out. And that's what I think how you should go about doing things, because if not, you're going to be like, just the end of Think and Grow Rich, there's a lot of these questions, and they say these things a lot. They're going to be like, oh, I want to do this, but only if I had the money. I want to go here if only I had the time. I want to record a podcast if only I had the good equipment, or all these different things. It's like, if you want to do it, you'll figure it out, but just make the decision to do it, and that's it. And it's just, in conclusion of that little section, was that it's really hard not to know what to do next, but by focusing on the goal and constantly refocusing on the goal and getting that clarity and meditating, I feel like you're at that awareness level that the energy will come to you. And that's what I'm trying to do, because that's how it felt last week. It felt like I was constantly thinking about my goals and just happy with them already, because it was just enjoyable and I was in the right state of mind. But after these successful ones, it's like, if it's only been one day, like what's today? Tuesday? Sunday it happened. And so Monday and Tuesday, I've still had like moments where like things are happening, but I just feel like, how am I going to top that? And I have to try to get out of that state of mind and just try to be in the state of mind where, man, these goals are amazing. I'm going to get there. I already believe it, and I just have to go, and then just constantly be conscious of the world still spinning. And that way the energy, I'm on the frequency that the energy is trying to reach me at. And I think that's the benefit of meditating and clarity, because you're always on that level and you're on it more, and you could reach your goals at that frequency. And I think that's the key, is those levels of frequency that you could stay on. And yeah, so that's pretty much my life journey update for this week. And I don't know if this podcast is for a week because I said Tuesday last week and I ended up doing like 4 or something in the week, 3 or 4. But now I just wanted to move over to my dunk journey, which is the same type of journey, same type of thing. I already told you about my mindset, how it changed from I should be able to jump well today, and I already know I should, but I like to just have that little I like to have like an out, like it just could go wrong, you know. But I'm gonna try to be more certain. Well, I already still say try. I'm gonna be more certain, and I'm gonna envision my goals more, and I know it's going to help because it's already helped in 1 week. Beginner's luck. So this week I want to elbow on 9-9. I'm going to elbow on 9-9 on Thursday. Today's Tuesday. Tomorrow I'm warming up. I'm going to do the same thing I did last week, just a really, really light dunk session. And then Thursday go to 9-9. Keep it light though, and just do like a tomahawk dunk. I want to do a tomahawk on 9-9, and I want to do an elbow hang. I don't know about an elbow dunk, but an elbow hang. And then, but keep the session short because I have a session with all the boys coming to town. We got my boy Andy Lloyd from Sky Athletics, Kyle Crowley, Nico. I think Dylan's coming. I think Peter's coming too. But Isaiah, Lewis, CJ, everybody's going to be a huge dunk session. So I want to go off there. And then on top of that, though, is that I'm not too worried. Like, I'm just going to try to have fun that session, kind of use it as like a reset, like no goals in mind, just have fun. But at the same time, I almost said if I don't get the elbow Thursday, but I'm trying to be friggin' certain because I really should. I don't even want to say should, but like there's no reason I don't. But even if I do get it Thursday, let's say I get it Thursday, I still want to like get it Saturday, get an Eastbay Saturday, and just have like all my dunks. I still want to be on my journey. I don't want to just like, I don't ever like, no matter what, if I'm dunking, I'm still dunking. I don't want to like postpone my journey success or milestones accomplish and things like that. And I think that's it. I mean, that's Saturday. I'm so pumped. This last week was amazing. I have so many ideas. I made this little rap for this intro. I was super pumped to get on the mic today. Oh, and the other thing I want to say is these are the people I'm going to meet in the future because I need to see myself with them. And number one is Rob Dyrdek because of his energy, his sense of humor, his manifestation beliefs. Like I heard him on podcasts. He's just the best. I watched him since I was a kid when he was on Robin Big, and then Fantasy Factory, all those things. He's just like the number one person I'd want to meet in person. And I feel like his energy is just amazing. Like anytime I watch him, it's just like I'm already laughing, and he's not even like a funny person, but it's just like brings out the most joy in me possible. So I want to meet him. And I'm saying this because I want it documented because I wrote all this stuff down and I want everything documented because it would just be amazing when it happens to just have it. Oh, and that's the other connection between Jim Carrey, which is another person I want to meet. I really can't wait to meet Jim Carrey. He and his little I'll put his link below probably of like his little quote. It was like a little montage of his quotes. He was saying, well, he first of all he manifested everything. He envisioned everything. He used to go to the place and envision himself on stage, something like that every day, something crazy like that. And what was I going to say? He said he's the proof of manifestation works because he believed in himself. He believed he already achieved it. And so he's the proof. And that was like a wow moment for me because I feel like I'm trying to be the proof, but the only difference is like I'm documenting now. So it would be really cool for him if he was like had video back then and he would like document or write in a journal. But I just think video is the best because it's published today and it's just like me talking, you see me, and there's like zero doubt ever. Like there's no possibility that I made any of the stories up or like I edited them at all because you can literally go back unless something happens with like time travel and technology, which that will happen as well, which is nuts to think about where the future is going because like what is even going to happen when like what if we understand the brain's energy and then people understand this power in quotes like that you can do it and people were just like not using it, but you really just had to use it with your mind and then the energy levels of the universe would like shift. That would be friggin' crazy if we learned that. And then sometimes when I think like this, I think like sometimes this is going to sound crazy, but it's like my universe and then everybody else has like their own universe, but maybe they're seeing it like differently. And I feel like if I get to the end, like if we get to a level, like maybe it's when you die or something, you realize like that was all just a world for me. And that's why, I don't know, it just feels like that sometimes. It's so weird, dude. And it's so weird to hear like great thinkers on other podcasts and great philosophers like share their ideas of the universe, because like if it becomes right one day, like it'll be so wild that they like had these feelings and all they were feelings, because that's like what a lot of the things I really enjoy listening to is just people with their feelings, because and that's where I want to get ended on, is that the feelings of these universal signs or things aligning, it's like the reason I think it's more, not even more the universe, but there is the universal energy and it's not just all work and being clear and clarity and stuff like that, is because there's times where it's just inexplainable and there's no reason for things to happen. And I guess it comes back that like you could have just been, I don't know, but like I just want more time, more instances or opportunities to happen that like that for me, that where it just happens where there was no reason for something to happen. Like somebody met somebody who knew somebody and that happens, because that's what I hear in all these stories of these successful people. And not that I want that to happen to me so I'll be successful. I just want that, I want that crazy feeling, so that way I know that I want more proof that there's that universal energy going around in these frequencies up above or even below or even to the side. Either way, we're spinning around it. All right, I think that's it. I'm loving doing this. I'm loving my whole dunk journey. I'm loving making videos more than ever. I feel more pumped, and I feel like it's still so challenging to get to that right mindset. And I've had so many friends reach out, not because of this, just it was just weird. This is another occurrence. Like so many friends reached out and asked me things, and we end up talking about this, and they're all skeptical too. And I feel like I'm trying to be the one that's helping with the skepticism, because I'm skeptical myself. Like this is not how I've always been. I've always, like, even my dunk journey, I've never been the type to even though I knew it was mental blocks, I still couldn't get myself to do it. And now it's like I'm complete shift, and they call that a paradigm shift in the world of the whoever does it. But the paradigm shift is huge, because you have this thought in your head, it's in your subconscious, and when you have new thoughts, it rejects them. But by doing these repetitions and by doing little moments like this and meditating and trying to believe it over and over again, you can shift that paradigm. So now you're thinking with a different subconscious, and that's the key. And I think that's why I broke through and got that dunk, because the whole time I had this blockage in my mind. And even though it felt like it was just like a mental block I can get over if I just like try hard and think hard and like really believe in myself, it's like I really had to think even harder and like not even just like believe in myself. I had to believe I already did it. So that way it's like I'm at that level to perform at that level. It's weird, and I hope it makes sense, but like I said, it's hard to put into friggin' words. I'm out. I gotta eat. I'm hungry for dunks. No, I am, but I'm actually hungry. Whew, I love doing this, and I can't wait for more. Yes, let me know what you think. Do I have anything I wanted to say? I said the people. Oh yeah, last thing. Rob Dyrdek, Jim Carrey, Tom Bilyeu, I think is how you say his name. He's the host of the podcast Impact Theory, just because his is all about making films. I love films, and he's all about impact, like how you're going to impact the world. And that's how like my little short film started. If you haven't seen that, it's like I didn't even know back then, but now I feel like I kind of do. It's kind of more like inspiring people and making videos. Anyway, he's going to make his whole company is about empowering people and getting them to be able to do it. And I kind of have this very similar ambition. So I would love to sit down with him one day to see if our paths cross. And then Joe Rogan also, for two reasons. One, he kind of sparked this whole thing, because when I found his podcast, it enlightened me to so many ideas and so many just new people thinking about things, and just completely changed the way I think. And all these things led up to where I am now, and those are big shifts. Lil Dicky too, because I feel like we'd get along. And Joe Rogan, number two, was he doesn't really believe in crystals and like Reiki healing and spiritual healing yet, but my sister does that, so I have a soft spot for that, and I believe it. So I would love to see him come around on that. So it's just like I would love to discuss it too, because he's so open-minded. So it's like, why would he not? And the last thing as a conclusion is, you want to be in that flow so you can achieve things at the highest level, because when you're in the right energy level, you're doing it. So you have to be conscious of it, but you can't be thinking about that you're in it, or else you fall out of it. So that's the balance right there, is knowing you're in it, but just being in it. And it's the act of being present, and it's the hardest thing to do for me. All right, that's pretty much freaking it. I'll see you next week or friggin' tomorrow or who knows when. But we're dunking tomorrow and Thursday and Saturday, and we're yamming all over the place. Still spinning, baby. 44. And a new rap next time? Who knows? We'll find out. Toodaloo!
Purchase your tracks today.